My name is Yuli Albert, and this is the GWA show. Today we got our guest athlete Ben Brown with us, and we're gonna bring you some news recaps around the world, and also gonna be talking about rim size, how to optimize your rim size, and talk a little bit about rhythm practice. But before we get going, Ben, how you doing, man?
Good, good. Just on my last full week of being indoors on a roller in the indoor track before I head to much warmer weather than what we have here currently in Nova Scotia.
Oh yeah, it's good for you, Ben. Lots of people have been asking me how cold it is in our office. Well, we're actually using our garage, and Canada is pretty cold right now.
Yeah,
So be nice to get down there to Florida. We'll talk a little bit about Florida after we get through. So yes, the last 2 weeks gone by pretty quick. I was World Championships happen in the UAE in Sharjah. There were some athletes that traveled overseas there. All in all, we didn't see great times performances. Ben, what would you say?
It was, I'd say, good close races, but with Sarja getting a new mono track, and from what I was told by friends, like it has a very high potential to become very smoking fast again. It's just going to take 3 to 4 years for that track to firm up. It's nice and smooth, but it's just very soft. So, and hey, I mean, for people that are running, great, but for us wheelchair racers, that makes the exact opposite. But it was a good start for people that just start their racing season. It's not like anyone's looking to get personal best right off the get-go. Just try to get their World Championship standards or their Para-Pan Am standards if they were competing for the Americas. But looking at the Dubai Grand Prix that's going on right now, I mean, you look at Waleed, he just pushed a new world record in the T34 class with a time of 14:62 seconds. And we both watched some 800 meters today, which was very impressive. What was your take, Yuli, on those 800s?
Well, I would say some are still tactical. I watched the women's T54 and the 53 there with Katrin Debrunner going out really quick ahead of Madison de Rosario. Madison at the end got her, of course, but I think that track in Dubai, which will also be the World Championship track, is becoming pretty fast, especially as you said, Wally Katila pushing a new world record. We also had a Japanese athlete, Ito Tatsuyo. He pushed a new Asian record for the T52 in 1796. So really, I think you're totally right. Sharjah track probably needs another 3 or 4 years to harden up and get that heat of the Dubai summers melting in a bit. But the Dubai track looks very promising.
And that's very exciting for like athletes that are looking to go to World Championships this year, because sometimes the tracks that we have for these major events, they're great for the ambulatories, but not so great for the wheelchairs. And then when you're trying to get your personal best and go for a peaking time, the surface doesn't always play out to that, and then it makes your race not always pan out because you're having to adjust your technique and things like that.
Yeah.
When you should just be focusing on, going out for it, and that's that.
Well, and there was a small group of Canadians that headed over to Dubai, 4 athletes, I believe, and all together they captured 15 medals, which was good enough to come top 15 on the medal count. So between 4 athletes, 15 medals, I would say that's a pretty good thing. I think the most important thing to take out of is getting to know that track, the Dubai track, and just being able to race on that track. Definitely very beneficial for those Canadian athletes.
Exactly. I was looking to do that this winter, but we had a little mishap, and that kind of put a kink in the plans. But in the long run, it's been paying off for the training, so
yeah,
it works out that way.
So what's coming up? Tokyo Marathon on March 3rd. What are your predictions, Ben? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a very good race. It's, we're just over a year away from Tokyo 2020, and it's the start of the major marathon series, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but either way, you're going to see a very deep set of both men and women's fields. My top 5, and it's not in this particular order. I just know these are the top 5 athletes for both men and women, and just it's going to be a bit of a who's who of who does it. And on the men's side, like I said, it's going to be either Brent Lactose, who's coming hot off Berlin, and it's his fourth marathon, and he's been able to turn his 100-meter top speed and his 400-meter top speed to a very successful marathon. Marcel Hug, he's been showing, since three straight losses in the marathons of Berlin, Chicago, New York, that once Oita came on, he won, and then in Dubai he turned it on, and with the races that you see in Dubai, he's making sure that people know that he's not going down easy. Daniel Romanchuk, yes, he's won 2 straight races, but we'll see how this goes because the course in Tokyo is very flat. Yamamoto of Japan and Suzuki, those guys are very, very strong. They dropped everyone within the first 5-10 kilometers last year, so those guys I think are still a very good threat to win, and I think that's the top 5 on the men's side. On the women, you got Manuela Schar, who's been dominating the marathon scene for women for the most part of last year. Susie Scaroni, she's very due for a win. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
She's been putting in a lot of work too. We know that. Yeah.
Tatiana McFadden, who's coming off a successful 2018, considering she was out for most of 2017. So hopefully she can put in a good race. I would say Maddie of Australia. She's been performing well with the marathon where she's new to it. And Wakako of Japan, who's been very successful in the Japanese marathons.
Yeah. So exciting race coming up March 3rd. I'm pretty sure there will be some online streaming. It's part of the Abbott series. I know the overall prize money is $50,000 to win them all. Not exactly sure about the prize money for the individual marathons, but there's some money to grab. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see what's going on.
And if you can't catch the live stream, I know last year within about 2 to 3 days, the race was put on YouTube, and you can still watch last year's Tokyo Marathon from start to finish, which is very exciting because if you're looking for a little training for rhythm, this is a very good video to watch.
Yeah, great. So last week we posted a research article on sizing your push rims the right size. We always get that question from athletes. What's the perfect size, or what's the right size in terms of push rim? So my first thing, so the push rim obviously is the ring that's attached to your wheels, and where you will transfer your power onto the wheel. The most important thing really at first is always what we want to see. We want to see the athlete to be able to reach the bottom of the push rim. That is just the number one thing. Now, having said that, depending on your seating position and whatnot, if you change your seating position, you might be able to change the push rim size, because if you lower yourselves in your seat, you'll be able to get a little bit lower. So generally the push rims are between 13 and 16 inch. I don't think there is some athletes like Daniel Romanchuk. What is it now?
17
inch.
But I mean, he's got a
really
7-foot wingspan, where I'm at 6'1", according to Ellie when we measured my wingspan during the VO2 test last month. So we switched up to 15.75 inch rims, and it's been paying off so far on the track. And
So one thing you gotta make sure is you're reaching that bottom. The other thing is are you a power pusher or are you more of a frequency pusher? According to that study, it was the bigger your rim, the higher your frequency has to be in your push. So meaning you have to be quicker on the return onto the rim. And of course your rim is gonna go faster if you're having a bigger push rim. So your ability to keep up with that rim really has to be there. There's no point in having a big push rim if you can't keep up with it, because as soon as you're not accelerating the rim anymore, you're going to be slowing your rim down, which means you're slowing down your wheels. So you might as well not push at all and just let it coast. Okay.
And I have to agree with that, because I would say, because this winter we've been going with different gloves, of the flex gloves that Revolution Sports is selling, and the harness gloves, which I've done 99% of my career. And I've been finding on the roller I have to stick with the flex gloves, because when I'm putting on the harness with these current size rims, I can't keep up with the harness. I think it's just more of a weight thing than anything, and just grip and
Yes.
contact.
Yeah.
But the second I'm on the track, I have no problem keeping up with the soft gloves, and I'm getting more power actually and more grip out of it versus with the flex gloves. I'm still having trouble flipping.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And-
we talked about the gloves, the choice of gloves yesterday. So the combination of your rims with the gloves, that makes a difference too. So you might have a different size of rim that's ideal for hard gloves versus a soft glove, because often what I do see with the hard gloves, you have a bit of longer reach. So you might be able to go a little bit bigger. But that's it for rims right now. If you have any questions, feel free to send them along. One of the other questions that one of our subscribers on YouTube asked us was about rhythm. Okay, what is the ideal cadence or frequency that an athlete should be pushing at? Now, again, that depends a bit. We have high frequency pushers. Prime example would be Heinz Fry. Very high frequency, somewhere in the 140, 150 stroke per minute frequency. That's more than 2 strokes per second that he's pushing on. Then we have some other, so he is more of a frequency pusher. Then you have other athletes like Ernst van Dijk, power pusher, long, big power strokes. And we're looking at maybe 100 beats per minute or 100 strokes per minute. So it depends a bit on the type of athletes. But generally, what we want to teach an athlete at first is to go low frequency and getting a good rhythm. So go at like 80 to 90 strokes. One of the good tools, you can get an app on your phone. It's called a metronome app, and it will give you those frequency, and you can really train that on your roller. So being able to keeping a frequency for a long time is the key to a good rhythm. All right, so before we wrap up here, so Ben, just quickly, what's going on with you for the next 2 or 3 months? We know you're gonna head down to Florida, and what's your schedule there?
For the first 3 weeks, I'll be training with 2 to 3 other athletes in Claremont, where it'd just be nice to get outdoors, hit the bike paths, possibly the track, and hit the gym as well to get ready for the national team camp in Daytona, which will be spread over 10 days plus a track meet for that. Where I'll likely be racing the 1, 4, and 800 meter races. If I get an extra race or 2 in, that's a bonus. Then after camp's over, I literally drive back to Claremont, and we have our Global Wheelchair Athletics camp that we're having for 7 days in Claremont, like I said, and just to work on some starts, acceleration piece, just putting everything together for the track, plus some hill work. And the reason why I say hill work is I am going to do the Bloomsday 12K in Spokane, Washington. I just got the invite a couple days ago, and I decided to take a full-on, instead of doing what we've done in the past, it's still racing and doing road racing leading into track season, but locally I don't have a lot of competition, so we felt that this would be a better venue to go with and have some people to compete with, so it primes me up more for Swiss Series, which is at the end of May.
Yeah, perfect. Very good segue. So, training camp, spring, GWA spring training camp. It's starting to fill up, but we still got spots available. So if you are interested in a training camp, you can join us in Florida. We're going to be there from April 10th to the 17th. Just as Ben said, we're going to be working on the bike path. We're going to be a bit on the track. We'll also do some hill work. So really getting you ready for the season. I really find that when people come into this training camp, they're after the training camp, they're leaving with such a better performance. We're going to be training twice a day, pretty much every day, and you'll get a lot of technical advice, not just from myself, but from our more experienced athletes such as Ben Brown. So a really good environment for you to get better. Until then, we will be back, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. And my name is Yuli Albert, and this was the GWA show.
Thank you, Yuli.